All right, so through doing all of these videos, I have started to realize that I'm gonna have to make a video about foreign affairs. And honestly, my understanding of them is that's the part of politics that I am the least read up on, because there's so many different aspects to foreign affairs. Now we're potentially facing a war. And I know that I need to address how that happened exactly. In a nutshell, they were abiding by the treaty. We came and tore it up. We decided to sanction them anyways. It messed up their economic, stability. They still followed the treaty. They still weren't making any nukes or nuclear energy. We then tried to intimidate them. Ultimately, we kill their top general. I thought, definitely gonna have war now because, same thing is taken out, like Secretary of State or something. Luckily, we're terrible to get in a war with because we are the strongest military. But that does not mean for a second that we can just completely end the war, just in moments. That's not how it goes. We have different bases all around the world. We have Americans all around the world. So we can't just wipe out the whole country and be like, hey, we won. Not that we should want to do that anyways, but I know that certain people probably want to think about that. But that's why foreign affairs are very complex. So basically, Iran came back. They decided, well, they have to bomb a few of our, bases that are there since we killed their top guy. But they gave us a 6-hour warning. So that was literally the least they could have done, and they saved the day by the fact that we're not in a war now. And their harsh words, I think, was just another part of that, because we really, us going in and killing that guy was a very unwise thing to do if we do not want war with Iran. So basically, renegotiating that deal, we're lucky that we're not at war with them now. And, we'll see. We'll see. We think Iraq was bad. Iran is much, much larger. It has more power. It has a larger army. Trump also promised that we could create a safe zone for the Syrian refugees. And when we were in Syria, we were actually in the process of creating it, which was amazing. That would have been such a great thing to have accomplished. And Trump unilaterally decided to pull our forces out immediately, where we couldn't make any sort of preparations to keep the region safe after he pulled them out. So unfortunately, instead of creating a safe zone in Syria for Syrian refugees, we abandoned the people that helped us fight our enemy and showed the rest of the world that fighting by our side doesn't mean that we care at all. So that turned into quite a terrible, terrible thing. Trump also promised that he would defeat ISIS in 30 days. I think that promise right there shows his understanding of foreign affairs and shows why we need the understanding of someone like Bernie Sanders. His understanding is so much greater than the understanding that I have. And usually people who have limited understanding can't understand the fact that they have limited understanding because they don't have the information that would be required to show that their understanding is limited. I hope that made sense, but it is true. You watching this, you might think that you have a total grasp on world affairs. And I might think that I have a larger grasp. And maybe I don't, And both of us probably don't have the grasp that Bernie Sanders has. And Trump might feel like he has been briefed enough to understand that ISIS can be completely wiped out in 30 days. But that doesn't mean that he does have that information. A lot of these promises and a lot of the issues we're facing right now stem from a basic misunderstanding of certain things that just have to be understood if you're going to lead the free world. I wouldn't want to do it, you know, it's rough, but we have to demand that somebody basically gives their life over to helping the American people. Someone who doesn't care that we're going to scrub his name through the mud, that one day we're going to praise him and the next we're going to crucify him. Someone that literally is just doing it for the people. I can think of one politician that has done that his entire career. Bernie Sanders. He fought for gay rights a long time before that was the cool thing. Now everybody's on board. But when people thought he was nuts for that, he fought for it. You know, he has fought against these interventionist wars, the ones that we look back and we're like, oopsie. You know, he actually did it when it wasn't popular. It's not about the fact that he did it first. It's about the fact that he did it when it wasn't popular. And so I am nitpicking these promises that Trump made, you know, saying that he was going to get rid of NAFTA. You know what? Bernie Sanders actually voted against NAFTA. And NAFTA is a trade deal that ended up hurting a lot of American workers because it allowed foreign goods to compete and take certain American jobs. It's a very complex trade agreement, though. You know, Trump has not been able to get rid of NAFTA. It's a trade agreement. Those are very difficult to come to because you have completely different countries with completely different needs coming together on that, and trade is important. Having somebody like Bernie Sanders who understands that trade is important, but who actually voted against NAFTA, which Trump promised to get rid of, which he hasn't gotten rid of, probably has a better plan to be able to address changing NAFTA. Trump, he said that we needed 6 weeks of paid leave across the nation. Bam. To see what Bernie says, you can see my America Dream is in Danger video. I go over that in detail, and I tell you how we can pay for that. Not just the promise, but the path to the promise. Trump also said that he was going to repeal and replace Obamacare. And there are certain people that say Obamacare is the worst thing in the world, but please do not take away my health insurance. Their health insurance is what we colloquially called Obamacare. People who want to get rid of Obamacare, when they realize that it was actually the health care that they were taking advantage of after we got our healthcare.gov plans going and started helping Americans with premiums who really needed the help. People started realizing that getting rid of Obamacare without something to replace it would just make many, many people very angry who had previously said, get rid of Obamacare. But it's like, but you're using the Affordable Care Act. And it's like, oh yeah, I love the Affordable Care Act. Well, that's what they called Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. Everyone loves the Affordable Care Act. It's better than nothing. So Trump said, hey, let's repeal and replace the Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. Well, I just told you that the OG of repeal and replace Obamacare is actually Bernie Sanders with Medicare for All. Trump understood that healthcare is really important to this country. And Bernie Sanders, he understands that healthcare is really important to this country. Now, right now, there are companies that stand to lose billions of dollars if you move over to something that is better for you. And they will tell you all sorts of things to convince you that it's not. But I just ask that you at least do a little independent research before you throw the force of your voice and opinion into the ring on this one. Because honestly, I think the people, just the individual Americans right now who are fighting against Medicare for All the most, are some of the people who need it the most. We just have huge corporate interests telling us that it's not the way to go. Trump wanted to reduce drug prices. Medicare for all gives us the bargaining power to do that. Trump wanted more price transparency with healthcare providers. Medicare for all makes it so that the government can force that. Trump had good instincts when it came to healthcare. He knew the problems. He just didn't have the solutions. He said that he wanted to increase healthcare for veterans. Medicare for all is the premium plan. Even the people who are fighting it have admitted on camera that it is the best plan for the consumers. They're just saying that it costs too much. Now there are advertisements saying that it is the worst type of plan because everyone's shoved into a government-run plan. Well, I hate to break it to you, I have amazing insurance and I still have to wait for my procedures. Please see my Medicare for All video to address some of it. I know that the time is going to come where I have to get into even more nitty-gritty, but I'm just saying that Trump had the right instincts on healthcare. Bernie has the solution. They're both telling us that we need the same things, and we do. Now, granted, Trump did say that he was going to cut everyone's taxes and release his own tax returns, and we do realize that that is not the case. So, of course, all of his promises are not necessarily things that that we can achieve, but the healthcare plan that he talked about, Medicare for all, checks every box of the things that Trump was talking about it. Now people are fear-mongering around it. Just know that Trump made the promise and OG Bernie's bringing you the solution.